Take it off. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the graduating class, faculty, family, and friends. Thank you, Dr. Bocking, for your generous polishing of my history. I love this university, and so getting a degree from Trent is a special treat for me. I will now think maybe I'm someone fancy and important. Well, I learned humility from my mother. I once told her I had some urgent homework and wouldn't be able to help out with the dishes that night. She said, "You don't appear to be Shakespeare, Mozart, or Picasso, so you're no big deal." And she handed me the dish rag. And at school I was called Depew. I'm lucky your illustrious founding president, Tom Simons, wasn't on the LLD selection committee, or I might not be here today. Before Trent, founder Tom was a teaching don at Trinity College at U of T, and I was one of his first-year medieval history students. Distracted by the non-historic attractions of university life, I left myself only 24 hours before the Christmas deadline set by Mr. Simons for me to assess the greatness of Charlemagne. I gave it a feeble shot and handed in the essay just in time. In January, Simons gave me my essay back with the historic mark of, ready for it, D-. Have you learned here at Trent that some of the profs actually read the footnotes? My paper used a quote about absolute power, but I didn't know who said it, and this is before Google. So my footnote said it was by Sir Ernest Macmillan, who was not a leading historian, but was the then conductor of the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. Your Hawkeye founder spotted the ruse, I think in part because there wasn't much else left to read. Kindly, unequivocally, Tom suggested I get serious and stop wasting my time and his. Who knows, if he'd given me an A++ and not D-, I might have coasted through life and never worked hard enough to get here. As for Tom, exasperated by the history of teaching at U of T, he came to Peterborough with a better idea. Okay, class of 2016, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things, including science, including social science. And the social scientists tell us that a week after hearing a speech, people only remember one or two things max. And a month later, they probably remember nothing. How do ambitious speech makers get around this gloomy prospect? Aha, I thought. Presumably the odds of remembering something from speeches goes up if you hear more of them. So voila, the solution is to give you several speeches today in the hope of increasing the chances that you'll remember a thing or two. So here comes 4 speeches. Don't be alarmed. The beer will still be cold, or I wrote that line, but maybe the tea will still be hot. Anyway, they give you the hook up here after about 10 minutes. Note the unexpected bargain. Where else but at Trent could you get 4 maybe memorable speeches, but only 1 degree? Speech 1. As a matter of fact, facts matter. The most important thing you will learn at university is the difference between knowledge and belief, between fact and opinion. I hope you've mastered this already, as you will find in our society this lesson is not well learned or practiced. My particular antipathy is with the media, who rightly give time and space to the informing knowledge of scientists, but then they give equal play on the same topic to the rants of loonies who believe outrageous nonsense. We've had confusion between knowledge and belief at least since the Italian Catholic bishops believed that the sun went around the earth, but Galileo knew it was the other way around because he had gone out and looked. Stephen Harper believes you will reduce crime if you lock up more citizens. The scientists say that's not so. The very rich 1% believe Reduce our taxes more, and we will trickle down some money for others. Most economists say that's not what happens. The Grand Bank's fishermen and the politicians believed it was okay to keep on fishing for codfish. The scientists knew the world's most productive fishery would crash, and it did. Watch out for true believers trying to persuade you they know something. The truth seems not to matter so much these days. All the more for you to do then, to call out those who play loose with the facts. If Trent graduates don't do it, who will? Speech 2, preaching to the converted. By far the scariest intrusion of belief screwing up knowledge is with climate change. There is no scientific doubt that humans are generating far too much CO2, and our planet is doomed if we don't get busy right now and fix it. We know this, yet the Republicans in the U.S. say they don't agree with thousands of diligent, peer-reviewed climate scientists. They prefer their own beliefs and denials. I suspect many bright Republicans, not a crowded field, know they are being naughty, but their loyalty to their brand trumps their common sense. And they block the changes we need for a healthy global ecosystem. How important is it we reduce CO2? I recommend you all cancel your summer plans and instead climb the ramparts to fight climate change. I even wonder if our government shouldn't slash the budgets for highways, education, and health care and put the money saved to climate solutions. We can survive a generation of bumpy roads, clueless and sickly citizens. We'll catch up later when we've got a living planet. If we don't make enormous efforts now, your grandchildren will be toast. While there are grim challenges, there are also huge opportunities for you. Governments and industry in Canada are investing major new money in clean tech and other sustainable initiatives. There will be many chances for you to sign on to the CO2 vanguard and get yourselves into invention, innovation, research, or implementation. And hey, if you're interested in commerce, money's going to be made. Why not by you? You can do well by doing good. Speech 3, use your knowledge. This is simply a call to get involved. Don't hide under your bed. Don't sit there complaining. Get active in your community. Sign up for local initiatives. Join a political party. Run for parliament. Bug everyone on social media. Bore your friends, or maybe inspire them. I recommend you focus on climate change, but you should follow your gut. And if you all get involved in your communities, they will become much better places. One person can make a difference. Here's an example. A few years ago, I was flying on Air Canada from Vancouver to Toronto and was offered a chicken or a beef sandwich. The chicken label announced that the sandwich contained 81% of the health department's recommended daily allotment of salt, and the beef was 83%. I subsequently wrote the president of Air Canada enclosing his sandwich labels. Dear Mr. Milton, you are poisoning your passengers. This is not sustainable. I said some more stuff, and I didn't hear back. But a couple of months later, I got a letter from the Vice President of In-Flight Services. She said, I might be interested to know that Air Canada's chicken and beef sandwiches were now down to about 30% salt. So there you go. One letter, thousands saved from high blood pressure. Politicians and business leaders don't get much personal mail. They are persuadable. If you don't send in your message, they won't get it, will they? This is science. Speech 4, humor helps. You face very serious issues, but don't get too earnest. Be upbeat and keep your sense of humor. A famous wit was Marion Pearson, the wife of Canadian Prime Minister Lester Pearson. One evening he made a speech he thought was pretty good. When he was back in his seat, he checked with his wife. "How did I do?" She said, "You missed several good opportunities to sit down." Congratulations, go for it. Thanks for listening.